Hey, hello everybody, welcome to the sound test room. Today we are taking a look at Helium by 4Pockets. So, yes, and again, because this is an evening stream, and I did say this is my new iPad Pro 2020 11-inch, and it was so kindly and generously given to me. It was gifted to me by I have an idea who is in the stream now. So if you haven't thanked him already, thank him now, because it means we can do all sorts of super mad sessions and super cool stuff, which is absolutely awesome. So yeah, brilliant. I'm still just super excited at the super smoothness of the whole thing. Okay, so what we're going to do, right, and hi Andrew, what we're going to do is we're going to start with this session here, which I have. And I'm just going to run it. So Helium, let me explain. Helium is playing Quanta, Synthmaster 1, and at the moment frames as well. And then there's these three noirs which are just supplying a beat. I think all of them from Dean's sample preset pack as well. And also we have Drum Computer here with a looperator on it, which I shall bring in a moment. And Helium, you might notice as well, has also got this really, it's a 50 bar loop. Okay, so it'll loop for 50 bars and then it'll retain on itself. And you can see that there are some grayed out notes here. These are actually ghost notes. What you're seeing is the MIDI data from track 1, which is Quanta. And if I long hold this, we can go to say that you're seeing the ghost notes from track 3, which is frames. If I go to here, you'll see just here there are some ghost notes, and they are from Synthmaster 1. And we are on at the moment track 1. If I just tap it once, this is Hi Tom, this is Quanta, and this is Synthmaster 1, and then we have frames. So you just need one instance for 16 tracks of MIDI, and each of those tracks of MIDI have 4 outs. So you could choose, say for instance, on this Synthmaster 1, you could choose it to be routed to, show you the routing, to either Helium ports 1 or 4. So, you know, you've got like massive choices of routings, and that's per instance of Helium. Now I'm going to show you some other cool stuff as well. Okay, it is a MIDI sequencer like Atom, but it's not like Atom. With Atom, if I was to use Atom now, I would need 3 atoms open, whereas I only need 1 Helium open. But I'm not like knocking Atom. Atom is brilliant. So anyway, so here we go. I'm going to play this session. I'm just going to make sure that I have my synchronization turned on, my loop turned on, because I wanted to loop back after 50 bars. Okay, so here we go. I shall play the session, and then what we will do is open another session fresh, and I'll take you through some various cool stuff you can do with the app and that as well. I think as well at some point Paul will probably join in. So anyway, here we go. What you're hearing now is one of the noirs. Hi, Gary. back when it gets to its bar 51. Kev. Oh, Sam. So that's the kind of cool stuff you can do just by setting up loops. Now you'll hear that it's still running because I took it halfway through that session. I took it off sync, so now it's just running itself, but it's still going to be running at 100 BPM. And it's just looping that section there, so you can control where you loop, when you want to loop, etc., etc. No, I've decided to see how long the battery will last. So I did today's session, the entire session, this morning, and the battery was at 100%, and I'm doing the entire evening session, and I haven't charged the battery yet, so I don't even know what it's on actually. But at the moment, it's on 80%. So it's the second live session it's done. To be fair though, the audio fuse and the key lab are powered, so it's not going to be draining too much from that. So yeah, it's very cool. VV. And of course the audio fuse is USB hub anyway as well also, so you know. Anyway, so right, so that's that session. We'll save this. Helium 1, yes, we'll overwrite it. And we shall clear it, and I shall show you some of the other cool stuff you can do. So first of all, we'll open a MIDI, then we'll open an audio, and we'll go with a... because there's some things I want to show you first. So we'll go to the pure piano, and then I will open up a Helium in here. And what I'm going to do is open up the little drop down here, and to keep things simple, I would advise you do this. Okay, go down to your channel filter, hit none, and then select the channel that you want Helium to play for pure. So channel 1 is the most obvious one, right? So we'll do channel 1. So just remember, if it was all, which is default to, of course, select none and then just select 1. And that's the quickest way just to filter out your channels. And then you choose the port you want Helium to play. So there's only one there, so we'll choose port 1. Then we go into Helium here. Let's open it up a bit so we can see what's going on. So I'll make it a little bit smaller. And then what we want to do is we want it to sync to AUM. We just touch the little sync button here like this. Okay, if you want a section to loop, you hold anywhere on the timeline here and drag a section to loop. If you don't want it to loop, you just don't hit loop. But if you did want that section to loop over and over again, you can hit loop like this. Now you can have multiple instances of this as well, okay? So you're not just limited to one. If you wanted like maybe you've got 3 or 4 synths that you would like to loop, but you want a really long piano piece that doesn't want to loop, you just open another instance of Helium. You know, it's very low on CPU Helium anyway. All right, so there's loads of cool stuff we can do here. So this is track 1. But what we want to do is open up Helium here, and we want to send it to our MIDI keyboard. Now you can just drag and drop MIDI in, and this is what I'm going to show you first. But for now, see, so if I go to Helium now and I choose, say, track 2, nothing. So let's go back to track 1 where pure is. You also have quantizing, so at the moment it's set to 16ths, okay? Or you could have bar or triplet or whatever you like. It's nice. And if you long hold, you can get quantize all notes or just selected notes, all right? Now anything inside of Helium that has a little triangle on the corner, that means it has a secondary function. So like pressing the MIDI tracks, that brings up your 16 MIDI channels that you can select from. Long holding it brings up MIDI channel, so you can you can choose your MIDI channel this way, right? You can choose the MIDI bus 1 to 4, what we looked at earlier, or you can choose Ghost Track. And what Ghost Track does is you can select between the 1 and 16 MIDI tracks and see the MIDI. It's slightly grayed out, but you can see the MIDI from any of the other channels you select. And that means that if you're queuing something in, it's really nice to be able to see the MIDI where it starts and stuff like that. So, you know, that's really, really handy. All right. Now, also, here we have the MIDI files. Now, Paul, there's a little bit of a caveat here, because in the updated version, you can have up to 7,000 MIDI files, and Paul has supplied them here. So you tap on Files, go to Clips, and then you've got a selection of chords here, and then say, for instance, like my favorite, C major or A minor, it's the same thing, right? Or D major and B minor. You see, you can tap on this, and then you can go, oh, well, we've got triads, 7th and 9th, all chords, and progressions of chords, right? So let's tap on progression, major or minor. Let's tap on minor. And all these, right, are chord progressions that you can just drop in. Now, Paul is on the updated version, you can get these, right? However, he's made it so that you would need to either A, uninstall the app and reinstall it, and then these MIDI clips will be there, or go to the standalone version and import those clips in, because he didn't want to say update it and it takes away everybody else's MIDI that they may have imported. So you have the choice, okay? So, what's cool here is chord naming conventions, okay? So first chord, fourth chord, etc., etc. All right, makes no sense to most people. Makes no sense to me, really, most of the time. However, what's nice here is you can preview the progression with whatever MIDI keyboard you have hooked up to it just by holding the progression. See, how cool is that? So you're not like kind of having to drag and drop and guess. When you do find a progression that you like, let's see this one. When you find that progression that you like, you just pick it up and just stick it anywhere on the timeline you want, and that progression's now in there. So when you play, and don't forget we're synced up. So when you're synced up, pressing this won't do anything because the host is in control. So you've got this. Let's put loop on so it just loops back round. And then we can get the idea. You can put your progressions in or something like this. there's different options here as well. Like for instance, edit. I mean, you can it's defaults to select. So if we can close our MIDI window now, so if you can select it all like this, you'll see that the color. You see the color. Someone was saying about the colors being red. They didn't like the red color. Let me just clear this out. The red color is down to velocity, okay? Now, I'm not going to go into this, okay? But you have a controller lane down here where you can assign all sorts of CCs, etc., etc. Just pretty much everything, right? Well, it looks like you can do all sorts of stuff. At the moment, on for velocity, you've got program chains, and then you've got all these. So you've got pretty much unlimited control over what, and you could draw all this stuff in at various quantizations and stuff like this. So 30 seconds, you could say draw in all this MIDI. I don't know how you do it. I think you hit edit and is it paint? Is it something like that? Paint and then I don't know anyway. But you see you see here that the colors are changing. This is down to velocity. Let me press select, and I'll just select those and delete them. And we'll get rid of that one as well. Select that and delete. And I'll just delete that one as well. Right, so, and I'll get rid of the thingy, the controller. It also has a little mixer similar to MIDI mixer, which allows you to mix whatever you've done. I'll show you that again, Dean, because that would probably interest you, all that stuff. I'll open up the controller and show you what you can do. So anyone who's interested in doing that kind of thing will get benefit from this. So, but you do have a little mixer that relates to AUM's mixer channels, of course, and you can long hold and rename each track. So you can come in directly inside HELIUM and do your mixing if you like. Then you have an undo, kind of self-explanatory, right? But if we open the controller, I'll show you for Dean as well, because he likes all this kind of stuff. You can copy and paste all sorts of stuff in as well. You might have controller data for another lane or another track that you want to put onto this track. But if you go into velocity, you've got pitch bend, aftertouch, program change, CC, bank select, modulation, breath control, and CC. But Stephen said it crashed or something with his breath controller. Foot control, portmanteau time, data entry. It's deep stuff. It's stuff that's way, way, way beyond my remit of using a MIDI controller. I genuinely, I'm so old school. I just want to record notes in. I don't want to, I don't need to go that deep. It just explode my brain. Pan, expression, effect 1, effect 2. So you've got all these CCs, and then there's general, and then the rest of them obviously up to there's more that are already sustain. So he's really put an awful lot of work into this. Yeah, I'm a total MIDI. I am Audible. I dug the Midiot, dug the village Midiot. So, but for like people like Dean who dig all this stuff and know what they're doing, this is quite useful, I guess. So, and Paul, Paul is already working on yet another. Now, I will say that this is the beta, the latest beta, and he's the app's sort of been divvies and waiting. He's waited a couple of days for this particular update to arrive, but I guess it'll be tomorrow or something. Yeah, it's way beyond me, Tom. It's not my bag, but copy and paste is good. So let's record some. Let's just record some piano in. So it's hooked up to AUM. We can skip that back to the beginning. I got it synced, so it's gonna loop in, isn't it? Now we've got so we can turn our tap tempo on here. I'll just switch record on, and it's gonna loop around, so it'll let me record whatever I like. So start soft. Okay, so turn that off now. The colors relate to the actual pressure, the velocity, so you can see. Stop it on the controller. But what's nice is if we expand this a little bit, if you hold right, you can move your note around, but if you hold near the end, there's a way to do this, and it's one of the select. So for long hold, which is it now? Is it edit? Paint, maybe. Paint lets you paint in different notes at different, that's it, like that, like ratcheting kind of thing. But like this is all kind of stuff that I haven't really got into. Delete those. And there's a way to, like, when you long hold something, instead of moving it, you're actually, well, you can extend it like this, but you can, that's it. If you hold it at the end here, you can extend it and control velocity via up and down movements. If you hold it here, you can move it around anywhere you like. So it's quite straightforward. Once you, if you use like hands-on MIDI editing, or Russ uses hands-on MIDI editing all the time, you can get you right. So holding at the end lets you extend and push the velocity either up or down. Okay. And then holding it this side lets you move the MIDI note around anywhere you like. All right. So those are kind of some of the basics, things that you can do. Time signatures, of course, you can set time signatures. Your grid quantizing, I'm going to turn the controller off. But yeah, so these are some of the cool things you can do with the quantizing. Now, let's hold this. It's all notes, quantize, select notes, right. Quantize, I'm going to set this at 30 seconds and I'm going to just pinch this all down again so I can see it. And I'm just going to go back to my selection tool and select all and delete. So how I like the idea of using this is to do long evolving experimental sessions and things inside of AUM. Now this just makes it very, very easy. So we'll forget the loop section. I'll switch record off in a moment. And I will do what I basically did earlier just to give you guys an idea of how I set that up, which was really quite easy. I just opened up a Noir for the start off. Oh, sugar, come on. To basically give myself a metronome, and then I added some more Noirs, but you know. Let's see. So we're going to load. Go to some of this from Dean. I'm going to just, what I'm going to do is press play and find something that you kind of like. This guy, you got to go, as he. See you later, Gary. So find something you like that you might want to jam around with. So what I'm going to do is not set any loop points. So my loop is switched off, which means that I can start my time at the beginning, and then basically I'll just hit record, and I can record now for basically as long as I want. It don't make any difference, you know. There's no, I don't need to set a loop point. I can just record and use my sustain pedal. So I'm going to just that's it, press play on the transport here. Something's not right here. So it only recorded, right. That's it. I remember now. This is quite cool. If you set a loop point, it will record within that loop point, but it won't loop, if you know what I mean. Now, this is, you might think, well, why would you do that? What's the point of that? That's really cool, because what it means is that you can basically select, you can go like this and select all, like this. So it selects all your notes. And then you can go to your clipboard and go, okay, so copy, and then go to a point somewhere else on your timeline, like let's just switch sync off a minute and go to here, and then you can go, so we've got 1 2 3 4, and then you can go to your clipboard again and just paste, and it then pastes the note data in exactly the right place on the next section. It's not tough, it's really easy. I've only used it for a couple of hours, you know, if I've got this far, you know. So anyway, what we're going to do is, again, we shall long hold and select all and just delete all that data. And I shall scroll back here where my looping is, and I shall just, all I need to do is switch it off. And to switch it off, you basically, all you do is just take it back to a 0 point, you know. So like this, we could switch it off by moving it just to there like this, and it's gone. So there is no loop point now. So now if I go back to the beginning, I will hit sync, so I'm in sync, but I don't need to hit sync, of course. I can just, you know, carry on and play. So what I'm going to do is, actually, I'm going to use a synth, because it's more experimental and more what I want to do. So I'm just going to find a quick sound in here. I need to set it up again, don't I? So I'll just quickly go port 1, just make sure that I select none, 1, and there we go. Super. So I'm going to just go and find, let me just open this up a little bit bigger so I can see. Where is it? There it is. So that, something like that sound would be great. "16 tracks in one instance." So I don't need to keep opening different instances of this. See, that's for some people that's going to be great, because if, for instance, if I wanted 16 instances in Atom, I would have to open 16 atoms. If I want 16 instances in this, well, you use AUM's counting. So you go the little dot here, and you go with your pre-roll. So you can have a 1 bar counting or whatever you want, you know. So you use AUM's count. If you want to count and use AUM's, I'm not going to bother. All I'm going to do is start at bar 2, as you will see. So I'm going to have the Noir running, so that's fine. So yeah, that's how you do your counting. You can either do it with AUM's counting, or you can just put this in and start at a bar, grab the MIDI, move it back if you wanted to start exactly bang on, and, you know, bang on the money. All right, so let's try that again, shall we? So we've got no looping going on, so I don't need to have loop switched on. Sync is switched on. Alarm record, because we need to record. So what we shall do is just hit play. So when you've done, you can record, stop the transport. What's cool now is if you wanted to loop this, you just set this gigantic loop point that covers the entire blob of MIDI that you've just made, like I did at the original point. So you go from like there and you just go all the way back to loop point 1, if you know what I mean. And then it will loop. However, we don't really need to worry about that for this. It's, you know, you know that's what's going to happen. Let's draw this in a little bit, shall we? So we can see what we've got. So I've gotten that far. So now we can set up something else on channel 2. So let's do this. Let's open up this. Let's open up a synth or something. Audio unit extension. Let's open Waverly XL, which is, and let's, now this is important, right? You just need to go to MIDI port 1 again. You can go to port 2, but you'd have to set it as up at port 2. Now, if you're thinking about this, that means you can have Synth Master 1, Waverly XL, both playing off the same port. So you're stacking synths, you know? It's going to sound awesome. Anyway, MIDI port 1, because that's what we're concentrating on. But track 2, so track 2 I'm going to select, but don't forget the most important thing is to filter out the channel, so none, track 2. And what's also nice is from within MIDI Mixer now, there's Waverly XL, and here is Synth Master 1, which I think's bloody brilliant. Brilliant. Right, so I'm going to just select channel 2. But what we'll do, just as a demonstration, we'll long hold this and I'll select channel 1 as the ghost track, so we can see our MIDI data from the first track here, so it's, as it's playing, sort of thing, or we will see it. Anyway, so let's hit arm record, and now I'm gonna just quickly find a sound that's gonna work in Waverly for us. That'll do. So yeah, so this is like, you know, this is channel 2. Let's watch what happens, shall we? So go all the way back to the beginning, synced up. Now the first one has stopped, so we can stop that now. Stop this, rewind, and now we've got both of our tracks. Now the other day I couldn't get this to work. Here we go. We can mix within. We can mix for within. Oh, thanks, Ivan. Thank you very much. Brilliant, mate. Honest to God, then. Now this is really good because now you can just go on and on and on, carrying on, adding MIDI inside of MIDI Mixer. But if you just wanted to, like I said, if you just wanted those to actually just repeat, or say a section of it, we started at what, bar 2, I think. Yeah, as you can see from our ghost notes, if I go back to track 1, you'll see our notes start at bar 2. So this is a thing, like I was saying to Colin, that you can then just set your loop, and maybe we just wanted to go to bar 25, even if there's a bit of MIDI data after it, don't really matter. So now we've got a loop running, and we've switched loop on now, and you'll see automatically it's just jumped to the front of that loop point, right? Do you know what I mean? And then all we're going to do now is when we hit play, it's just going to continue to loop those, well, it's 24 bars, isn't it? So it's 22 bars, 23 bars or something. I've missed a bar off, but... And that means we can then go to add another track if we wanted to. Go to our mixer. Now, the mixer only applies to the instruments inside of Helium, okay? Doesn't apply to anything going on outside. So now we could do like what I did earlier, and I'd say a drum computer. So I don't think it's that. If I can understand to get this far, then anybody can use it. Genuinely, they really can. You know what I mean? And what's cool is, I mean, all right, that was a bit like experimental, but that's what I was going for, right? I like to do experimental sessions in AUM, and Helium makes that job extremely simple, because from within one app, I have access to 16 MIDI channels. And how many times you use 16 different instruments. But you're not really limited. You could load 48 instruments up and still control them all from inside one Helium, because you have the MIDI bus of up to 4 MIDI outs. All right, it's the same MIDI, but you can send it to, like, so for instance, a session could be, like, the first part of it could be MIDI bus 1. The second part of it you could just swap everything over to MIDI bus 2. Right? Okay? So, no. All right, then. Lots of times, Doug. No worries, mate. Open 3 Heliums. Then you've got 48 tracks, ain't you? Do you know what I mean? I'm just saying from within one app. But if you want to use a session that goes over 16 tracks inside AUM, that's something I'd like to see, Stephen. But if you do, just add another. And don't forget also, you could start adding atoms in as well, as if you wanted to. And you could go bonkers, if you wanted to. But for experimental stuff, I tend to err on the side of less but more chaotic. Because once it starts to get too dense, you kind of lose any experimental weirdness that you might want people to hear that isn't there. But anyway, the point is, it's great. We looked at the files. There was something else I did want to point out. Right, yeah. Remotes. Okay, so I'm going to just... switch loop with loop recording switched off. Remote works. Oh, right. Hang on a minute. I'm just gonna. What is it now? What's it telling me? Long hold. Right. You can set snapshots for up to 12 loops. I can't remember what RTC does now. You can set snapshots for up to, I'm not going to do this, for up to 12 loops. Now these, I'm going to do another tutorial because I haven't tried this. But for instance, if I took a snapshot now, so if I go snap and it says select snapshot, so I'm going to select snapshot 1. This loop, this 25 bar loop is now snapshot 1. So when this is playing, right, if I've set up other snapshots, it will just go to those snapshots the next time round. So if you think about that, maybe you wouldn't want to be like a 25 loop long snapshot, but you could if you wanted to, right? You could have maybe smaller, like 8 bar loops or something like this, and just carry on swapping between snapshots, you know. And again, like I said, this is just, hi Dean, hi David. This is just one instance of Helium doing this. Okay, so you, like I said, you can just open as many as your device can deal with, and you're really good to go. Anyway, there you go. There's a basic look at it with a few examples and things like this. I think I covered pretty much most of the stuff. There are like loads of extra things that you can do, all like MIDI controller stuff that people like Dean would be really into. But yeah, I do think it's good. But for doing this kind of experimental stuff, you seen that was pretty easy to set up. You know, not too tricky to set that up. You know, if you're enjoying this video, there's 60 people watching. Please strike the like. Please strike the like. It helps the channel. Thank you very much. And I got to say, bless you all again to Ivan. Since there's all these people here, Ivan Idea, who is in the chat now, bought me this iPad over the weekend, and it was such an amazing, generous gift, because he used to watch me struggle with the other one, sort of with apps crashing and going down and stuff. Because as I kind of got more and more into these experimental sessions, of course it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. But what an amazing guy, you know. Seriously, an amazing man. You know what I think, Ivan. So, and Joe. Anyway. So Snapshots is dead handy. It's very similar to MIDI Mixer. Do you know what I mean? So MIDI Mixer has the snapshots for your mixer settings. So you can combine both. You set up huge evolving sessions that just would sound like they're just continually evolving, you know? Brilliant stuff. But I really do like it. I found it extremely stable so far. No problems with it crashing or anything like that. So, but like I said, Paul is another update. This is the beta, the release for the next release, but you know, it still works. It is, and with the next release come all these MIDI files, all these 7,000 MIDI clips. But there is a caveat there, so you're not going to lose any of your own. You need to be aware that you need to get all these new ones. It will overwrite your own MIDI clips if you've got any. But I'm thinking, no, this is a fairly new app. Not many people are going to have 3 million MIDI clips already loaded in, so it's probably. Can you zoom in? Can you zoom in as far as you can, please, on the MIDI timeline? On the MIDI timeline, I can go. That's as far as I can go. So pretty. Let me just go back to the beginning. Let me rewind. So what? Yeah. So you can see that's as far as I can go on the MIDI timeline. Audible. Thank you very much. But yeah, it's not too bad. I could use that. So yeah. Anyway, thanks. I think Paul's open to so many suggestions that, you know, if it wasn't too far, he would probably actually have a go at putting it in for you, you know. So yeah. Oh, by the way, yeah, did you see what happened then? This is cause Paul put this feature in, and I think you can disable this, but there's a feature while you're recording it is like MIDI zoom, so it kind of finds where you're playing the MIDI, but you can actually switch that off, I think. So anyway, so I think, here we go. It goes that far in, out, I mean, and then you saw it that far. This is, yeah, that's Waverly XL. It's lovely. Now, possibly tomorrow evening, I'll obviously be streaming tomorrow afternoon as well as normal, about 2:30, something like that. Tomorrow evening, I'm going to try and get my album onto Bandcamp, my brand new album. My brand new solo album, mine and Joe's album, will be coming not too long after that, but my brand new album, which will be available for free on Bandcamp if anybody wants to download it or pay what you like, but it is available for free. Possibly tomorrow night, if I can get it all sorted out tomorrow morning, we'll do a live stream and I'll just actually play it on Bandcamp, and it'll yeah, so you'll hear my new album that I've been working on for the last, I don't know, half an hour. Yeah, so what we're gonna do is go now. I'm gonna I'll play this session, I guess. Make sure my sync is switched on. I just want to point out at this point, if sync is switched off and you're playing at AUM, right? So no, I don't think it has swing, but I'm pretty sure Paul will put it in if you ask him, right? So I hardly ever use swing. I should use swing more. Yeah, but the album's really nice. I enjoyed it, but doing it was really good, you know. It's a little bit different as well. Not too different, but a little bit different for me. You can run AUM. We're not synced now, but you can run AUM. Right? But then you can jump to anywhere in the timeline and just play from this. So it's independent. Or you're synced up. And I think that's pretty cool. But what we will do is switch loop back on, put sync on. I'll go back to the beginning of AUM's timeline. I'll let you say ta-ra to each other for a few minutes while this is playing. Bless you all so much for joining me this evening, where we took a look at Helium, along with, we had some synth master in there and some quanta and some drum computing, and some noir. Anyway, I shall see you guys later. Ta-ra. Thank you very, very much for watching. See you soon.